I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
All right. If the streaming dashboard is to be believed, this the first of episodes of Dynamic Reviews is live. Stuart, how do you feel about that?
I'm super excited. I'm so excited. I'm a little shaky, but I'm good.
All right, man. Don't like vibrate into your microphone. That'll be really bad for everyone. Um, so welcome. This is Dynamic Reviews. We're a movie review podcast here on the YouTubes, the tubes of you. And today we're going to be reviewing Detective Pikachu. But before all that starts, I figure we should, I don't know, say our names a little bit. I'm Matthew Robinson. I'm chasing logic everywhere on the internet. Stuart?
I'm Stuart Gardner, and I'm some combination of Stuart Gardner 57 on the internet everywhere.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
So first things first, Stuart and I are longtime friends, and I don't know. We like to start each of these off. This is not our first one, despite being the first one we've released. We like to start each of these off with a little bit of talking about the movie stuff because we don't necessarily get to see each other all the time. Um,
Yeah.
Stuart, I have you seen the Aladdin movie trailer, the new one?
I have seen the new Aladdin trailer. It's it's hitting those songs right. You know what I mean? I think they really tried to hit those songs, those famous Aladdin songs in it.
I mean, I certainly agree with that. I will say this though, um, as much as I love Will Smith, he does not Smurf well.
Oh no.
Um,
No, he does not do that very well at all. Actually, I don't know how often he's going to be smurfing, but it looked in that trailer like they're like, oh, he starts off blue, and then eventually we're just gonna settle him into black and just leave it there
yeah.
because
Uh,
otherwise everybody's gonna have questions.
I mean, if he spends most of the movie as Will Smith, the actual Will Smith, I will be much happier with the movie, honestly, than if they like try to make him blue the whole time.
Right. Yeah, I agree actually. Him blue is just it just isn't working.
I will say this: when he started singing "You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me," the whole time I really just wanted him to do like a '90s rap version of it, like like Will Smith did for the Wild Wild West movie.
Right.
Like I just want that. I'd be much happier with that, to be frank, because unfortunately the way they've done it, like I can't do anything except compare it to oh my god, Robin Williams,
Right.
who
I mean, it's hard not to, right? Like he's
yeah,
legendary.
right, and it's I don't know. I think in this case, since they've tried to stick to it a little bit too much, I think like they might like the nostalgia might actually backfire on them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? So they've been remaking these Disney movies for a while, right? Like I think they started off with either Snow White, not Snow White, Cinderella,
Oh yeah,
or the Maleficent movie. I can't remember which one they started off with. But like they've been making these for a while, right? And some of them really hit home, some of them like knock it out the park, and some of them are just okay. And this is one of those that I think they're really trying to hit the nostalgic button on, like those member berries. I remember, you remember? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah.
like they're trying it too hard, and it's such a great original. Um it's, they're not deviating enough. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of nostalgia, though, let's look at some box office numbers
Yeah.
because holy cannolis, Avengers Endgame uh,
Wow.
has
Right?
been slaying it.
What week of release is this? 3?
Yeah, yeah. I guess it
Yeah.
is three. Yeah,
And it's just taking over town. I mean, it might catch Avatar.
yeah. I honestly, I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Um,
Really? You really think it'll catch Avatar?
yeah. I mean, like it's the end of a 7-year cycle. It's the last one of these. It's the last one we'll get with this particular cast of characters, who some people really really like. Right?
Right. Like people have fallen in love with these characters. Here's my question. I have two questions always. I like initially it was, will they catch Avatar? And I believe that it will. And then here's the real question. Will it reach 3 billion? Do you think it could get that far?
Oh, I don't know. That's a big jump from where it is, right? Like
Right.
the jump over Avatar is very close. Like it seems very doable. Um,
Especially with a long, like with the longer it stays in theaters, they're going to keep it in theaters as long as they can. That's why I agree. Like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will it catch Avatar, right?
right.
But getting that extra to 3 billion.
I mean, we're just now hitting the point where a lot of people are going to go see it twice, right?
Yeah.
I think that's when you'll really start to see the numbers jump for this one. Because like a lot of people now have like they saw it the first or second week, and now they've like given it some time to settle. And now a lot of the people who were waiting for the theaters to clear out are going to go back, and they're going to bring some of their friends back who've already seen it again. So I think that's
Right.
where they'll get their like big jump. Because I know that I went and saw not the last one, but oh golly, yeah, I guess I'm yawning. Oh, I'm sorry. I went and saw Thor twice, Ragnarok, the last one.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think this has the potential to really bring a lot of people back. I think it's also because this is one of the ones where like there's a lot happening in every scene, and you kind of want to go back and like catch all of the stuff
Catch
you
everything.
missed.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so dense, right? I've only gotten to see it one time. Um, but I definitely am probably going to go see it a second, maybe a third time in theaters. When my wife and kids leave in a couple of weekends, I'll have like a weekend all to myself. I'm definitely going to go see it that weekend, right?
There you
So,
go. Yeah.
but like you've got to catch it. You've got to catch all the Easter eggs. You've got to catch all the things that they're trying to push into this movie, because man, there's a lot in it. So I believe, maybe I'm optimistic, but I believe it'll catch that 3 billion mark.
I, I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna say that's still very optimistic. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about Avengers Endgame except that I didn't like it. You liked it, and I really don't want to review it because I don't want the internet to hate me. So
Right. No, I'm not trying to review it. I'm just saying I think that enough people are like me that enjoyed it enough, or enough people either loved it or didn't like it and want to rewatch it to see if they didn't like it.
I'm not gonna do like I'm not gonna hate watch it a second time. Um, if that's what you're suggesting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
like the sign of an abusive relationship, so I'm not gonna let it take me there. Um, all
I was
right, all right, all right. You're like trying to drag me into this review, but that's not what we're
I'm
here to
not. I'm
do.
not.
That's not what we're here. No, you
I'm
don't even
just
play me
saying.
like
I'm
that.
just saying. We all feel certain ways,
No, no,
and
no, no, no. Don't even act like that. You're trying to. I'll be crucified if I come out and say what I think. So let's. All right. Let's jump into the actual review that we're here to do, which is for
yes,
Detective Pikachu. So to give the viewers a lowdown of how we do things, we have a 4-tier rating system. Must see, worth seeing, worth catching. So that means that like when it's on a streaming service or on TV, something like that. And then basically garbage. Like don't see this movie. It's not worth the time or the money. And so what we'll do is we'll give a very short summary of our review. We'll give you a rating out the gate, and then we'll give you fair warning that like the rest of this review is going to be spoiler filled. So you'll have time to cut out if you don't want to hear. But if you've already seen the movie and want to hear our thoughts, like on the deeper, I don't know, kind of like deeper contemplation of the movie and the actual plot, then stick around for that. Stuart, you want to start? What do you think?
so Detective Pikachu, to me is hitting everybody. We were talking about nostalgia earlier. It was hitting everybody in those nostalgia feels. You know what I mean? I think if you are a Pokemon fan, you are automatically going to bump it up one than your average moviegoer, right? As opposed to your non-Pokemon fans or people that just dabble a little bit in Pokemon, such as myself. So, did I enjoy the movie? I'd give it yes. I did enjoy the movie. I don't think it's a must-watch. I think it's a catch it on a streaming service or on TV if anybody still has cable. You know what I mean? So
If anybody
that's where
still
I
has
sit with
cable.
this.
So almost to prove your point, I would say that I am a Pokemon fan. Like I've got like Let's Go Pikachu. I'm gonna be getting the new ones and stuff. Like I don't play all the games, but I play them occasionally. I haven't uninstalled Pokemon Go, even though I haven't opened it in like months at this point.
You and
So
half of America.
yeah, so I'm definitely not like a diehard. Like I definitely like I have friends who are very much more into Pokemon than I am, but I would say I'm a Pokemon fan. I would say that it's worth seeing. I I don't think it's a must see by any stretch of the imagination. It's a kids movie for sure.
It is a kids movie. It is strongly a child's movie or a kids movie. I wouldn't say child, but it's strongly a kids movie.
But I did enjoy it. We'll get into the kids movie part a little bit here, but I think I think that's fair. We're you're at a catch on a streaming. I'm on a worth seeing in the theater. And at this point, this is your chance. Like if you don't wanna ride the spoiler express choo choo,
Choo
okay,
choo!
yeah,
Spoilers ahead.
it's time to get out. We're gonna give you 10 seconds, okay? 1, 2, 3. I'm just kidding. That's all you get. Get out of here, okay?
But please do come back after you've seen the movie and hear our thoughts on it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I want to start because I want to talk about the kids movie part. I saw it like opening day.
Oh, okay.
I caught the earliest showing. I wouldn't call it a matinee. It was like a 4 p.m. showing. And my God, I regret that so deeply.
Oh,
I should have gone to I should have waited at the weekend and gone to a real matinee. Um, it was just full of kids, and that was fine. But there was a lot of noise because of that.
that
And
makes it hard to enjoy a movie.
now, yeah, but at the same time, I can look past that.
Good.
That's annoying, but I can respect the fact that hey, parents got to deal with, right? And
Yeah. Well,
that's fine.
as a father myself, I really appreciate people that have the patience to deal with, me trying to catch my daughter as she's trying to jump out of the seat and sit her down and teach her, I try not to go at like prime times because that's really obnoxious, or it can be really obnoxious. But like kids movies, especially, you've got to have some level of understanding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't want to fault anyone there. The thing that really got me was that sitting right next to me were adults. I mean, questionably, they were older than 20. Okay, so
Legal adult.
they were beyond. They weren't like barely legal adults. They were firmly legal adults. Now, the thing that got me is that these people, every time a Pokemon came on screen, they named it. Like they would both try to name it. And there's a lot of Pokemon in this movie.
I was just about to say,
Spoiler
there's a lot
alert.
of Pokemon flying across the screen in this movie.
Yeah, and they're just doing it the whole time. And the worst part was when they when one of the Pokemon that they really liked came on. Then not only would they name it, they would imitate it, saying its own name.
They didn't.
It was so.
Oh my
I just wanted to be
God.
like, are we really gonna do this the whole time? It was driving me up the wall.
Oh man, that would be insane.
Yeah, that was a little less forgivable. I did not have any respect or patience for them. I did not say anything, but it was quite annoying. Despite the bad, what I would call theater experience, I did really like this movie. I just think the like I want to talk about the plot a little bit after. I don't. Did you watch Pokemon as a kid, like the cartoon or
I
anything?
I watched the cartoon because my brother watched the cartoon. Does that make sense? Like I caught it every once in a while. I wasn't an active fan of Pokemon
Oh, okay.
as
So
a
you
child.
couldn't like name all 150, like do the Pokemon rap.
But like I played the crap out of that game though. So like if you showed me a Pokemon, like they're like, guess which Pokemon, you know what I mean? And it's always Diglett or whatever. Like
What's up?
I could tell you most of the time what Pokemon that was as long as it wasn't past the original.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
And this, I'm sorry. And this
Yep.
totally featured like Pokemon from all the generations. Like,
Right. For sure.
even
That like there were some Pokemon I saw that I was like, I don't even know. You know what I mean?
so, like I definitely kept up with like Gen 1 and Gen 2.
Yeah.
And then like Gen 3, I basically knew nothing about. I watched some of the newer cartoons actually in preparation for this movie. So I knew some of them from that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say that you need to be a Pokemon fantasies movie. Like I
No.
think this is if this is your first Pokemon experience, it's totally fine. I mean, it's not
I
like all the Pokemon say their own name repeatedly, so it's not like you
well,
like will even be lost about what they are.
I guess if this is I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Like if this is your first Pokemon experience, I think it's a bit I don't know, maybe it's okay. Like you know what, actually you're right because the fact that it's strong to me it's strongly a kids movie, right? Like and that alone makes it easier for anyone that hasn't seen this genre to step in, right? So the fact that they give it to you like a kids movie makes it easier to digest. But like there were like I got excited when I saw Mewtwo. Anybody else if this is your first showing, you see Mewtwo and you're like, what? So like, what about him makes him so special? You know what I mean? And they kind of explain it in the movie, but like as you see him, it's like for comic book fans when they first saw Thor come into the Avengers, they're like, oh, it's the thunder, it's the lightning, and they're like, oh my gosh, here comes Thor. That level of excitement that
Yeah.
comes versus someone that had never seen any movie before that. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's definitely a little bit of a throwback to like the original Pokemon animated movie. Like
Yes.
there is some very subtle references to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so before we get into the plot and the story of the movie, the one thing I do want to say up front, man, the animation and the CGI was just really good. Like all of the Pokemon
Phenomenal.
looked super legit. Nothing looked weird, right? Like it looked how I would expect it to look in that kind of like realistic animation.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
It actually it was unbelievably like it was just unreal when I was watching these people interact with these Pokemon and it felt real. They looked like you could reach out and touch them. They didn't I'm sorry. They didn't look like a cartoon. And that's what I was, after watching the trailers, obviously we didn't review the trailer, but like after watching that trailer, I knew that it was going to feel real, and that was phenomenal. I am so pleasantly surprised about that as opposed to other animations that have come out recently that aren't as even close to good
yeah, definitely.
comparatively.
Um, the other thing is the I will say this though. So much of this movie was CGI and green screened. You could definitely tell that like some amount of the time the actors were having a very hard time dealing with the fact that they were interacting with a thing that isn't actually there.
Real, yeah.
Like you could tell like they would pause weirdly or like they wouldn't look quite the right place.
Right, yeah.
Um, so there was that. I think they did a pretty okay job of like trying to get around the limitations of that. But I think that's one of those things that's like going to start to set actors apart from other actors is their ability to like entirely make believe a scene because
Yeah.
that's like a lot of movies are going to get made like this. I think now.
Especially movies where you have like a fantasy world. You know what I mean? Like we don't have the Jim Hensons out there of the world trying to make puppets all the time anymore. You know what I mean? So you're dealing with a ball that's just sitting here in your face. You know what I mean? So you're like, oh, I'm talking to this little green ball that they're going to animate things onto later. And it makes it, I can understand how that would make it difficult. But I agree. Like those that can really dive into the world, that can really give it in, you know what I mean? I think those actors are the ones that are really going to set themselves apart, at least with working with large CGI films.
So let's I have one last thing before we get to the plot. Let's talk about the humor because I think a lot of people based on the trailer are going to think that this is a comedy
Yeah.
and kind of go into it with that because the Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu kind of
Right.
like gives you this
Like
almost like weirdly adult vibe.
yeah, well, it kind of gives you this whole like clean Deadpool vibe almost. You know what I mean? Like if you're a fan of Deadpool, you go into it after the trailers thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be die hard funny."
Yeah.
Uh, and it has its moments. It's actually a funny. It has funny moments. I wouldn't call it a comedy.
Yeah, I think all of the jokes land, but also
Most
I think
land.
all of the jokes are in the trailer.
I, I, I there are some jokes, and I can't think of them off the top of my head right now. There's some jokes that they people made, and I was like, oh, I mean, I guess that's funny. And all the ones that were definitely laughable were in the trailer.
I mean,
You know what
I
I mean?
did like the one that wasn't in the trailer that I did like. I did like that Ryan Reynolds was ripping on Psyduck the whole time, like
Yeah.
just like trashing him the whole time, and then just being
You
like,
know
"It's
he's
okay, it's
going
okay,
to
it's okay, calm
explode,
down,"
right?
you know.
He was like, "No, I'm not going to rub your feet."
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Like that was like the funniest thing that wasn't in the movie. Um,
I even after watching the trailer, the Mr. Mime stuff cracked me up.
oh
Oh
yeah,
man, that was
yeah,
one of my favorite scenes in the movie just cuz it was so funny. And he like got into the little box thing and was like, "Oh yeah?" And then he like accidentally lights him on fire. It was great. Oh,
yeah.
I died during that moment.
Well, also I think Justice Smith carried that scene really well.
Yes.
Like he was not only was he interacting with two imaginary figures, but he was interacting with one of them that like was making imaginary stuff. So like
Which is
it
like
was
when you think about it, it's kind of insane.
yeah, like I can't imagine acting that and man, he killed it in that scene. That's his best scene in the whole movie.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
think. Um
I think he did I mean, talking about Justice Smith a little bit, I think he did a good job in this movie. I've never seen him before. Have you?
I swear I definitely know his name from something. So like I've seen him in something. I just can't think of what it is.
Well, maybe I've seen him, but I don't know him. I don't recognize him from anything, right? So like outside of Ryan Reynolds and the chief, the what's his name? The guy that was the chief,
Oh, the
the
lieutenant, you mean?
the lieutenant. There we go.
Um
Outside of those two, I didn't really recognize these actors as much. Catherine Newton, I think, was her name. She was the actress that was kind of so. If we're talking about acting, I don't think she did a very good job in this movie.
the You're talking
She
about the
was very
reporter girl, right?
yes, she was very much like the cartoon. It was almost like she was in a different movie.
Yeah, every time
Like
she was acting, I was like, am I watching a Nickelodeon show?
yeah,
Right? Like it
right.
seemed like kids cable TV and I don't know. I think that's kind of a bummer, but I don't think she was so bad that she definitely did not like ruin the movie or anything.
She didn't ruin the movie, but she did distract me
Um,
sometimes with her acting.
yeah,
Just because it was so much more than everyone else's. You know what I mean? It was like when the thing that really hit me was when we first meet her and she's coming down the stairs and she's like, "I've been waiting for someone to open that mailbox for however many days she's been waiting." You know what I mean? And she comes down and that whole dialogue between her and Justice is just kind of campy.
you know though I did like like when they were flirting and um like Pikachu was ripping on him for his bad flirting the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that was
And he's
good.
like, "You never talked to a girl, have you?" So yeah, yeah, I definitely feel that way. One of the things that bummed me out as far as actors go as well is that like Karan Soni was at the beginning of it. I
Hmm.
think that's how you say his name. I always murder names. I'm sorry to anyone who like actually knows how to pronounce it.
Right.
Um, I love him. I think he's hilarious. And when he was in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe this is a comedy, and like he's gonna be in it, and I'm really gonna enjoy him being in it. And
I
then
honestly thought that was going to be the biggest twist for me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know he was in this movie. That's
right.
exciting."
And then he gets thrown away in the first 5 minutes, like
I know.
unceremoniously. Like they try to like play this up as if they're like friends or something, and it's
Yeah,
like not only does that not matter, it's like no, fuck you, it's time to start this movie. Like that's what we're
completely
doing.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's bad. Um,
Oh man. But
for the
I
record,
loved his interactions though at the beginning. Oh, that was he
yeah,
was funny.
I thought he was great,
Yeah,
and that first
he
scene was
did a
great. Like
great job.
I thought it was a good setup. I thought it was funny. So, also Justice Smith's in Jurassic World. That's where you know him from.
The first one?
Uh, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
I did not watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is why I do not know him.
He was also in Paper Towns.
Did not watch Paper Towns.
Okay, well, there you go. I think I
Well,
know
there
him
you
from
go.
Jurassic
But
World, which I haven't watched, but like followed enough that I heard about that.
right.
So all right, let's talk about the plot because we kind of touched up on it. Man, that whole first scene is completely worthless. Like as much as
Oh,
I enjoyed it, the whole
very
like
first scene of the movie?
when he's like in with the
Yeah.
Cubone, those like first 10 minutes,
Yeah.
they just could have cut that from the movie and like
And
started with
we'd be
him on the
fine.
train.
Yeah. Like start off in the train and we would have been fine. Like at first I thought that was feeding into something that was I feel like they were trying to set like a vibe for him like oh I don't like having Pokemon as sidekicks, you know what I mean? I don't like having my own Pokemon. But they did that again when he runs into Pikachu. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and also like they did that again, but also like it doesn't matter because Pikachu comes with him anyway. Like he
Right.
like he just like complains the whole time instead of like actually like asserting that as a facet of his character at all.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, there's that. They could have cut those 10 minutes. Like I don't know.
It was
That's
enjoyable, but like it wasn't necessary to anything at all.
yeah. Which I would say describes a like good amount of the like exposition in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Right? There's
for
like
sure.
a lot of this movie that just doesn't mean anything. Um,
I feel like they were trying to like flesh out the world some, and I feel like it kind of just fell flat as opposed to doing what they wanted it to do. In my, you know, in my viewing, that's what I got out of it.
um, like the the whole setup when he's on the train and they're telling you about the city and about the
Yeah.
guy, the Rhyme Industries, like that all makes sense and that actually is like relevant to the story. Um, I will admit this. I did not see the dad being the bad guy coming, even though they foreshadowed it
Oh,
really
the
hard.
twist, the final twist. You know, I didn't see that coming until probably like the moment before it happened. Like obviously that's when they reveal it, but like when he walked into that room, I was like, "Oh no, that's
Oh,
what's going on."
yeah. I
Although I did call the Ryan Reynolds thing pretty early on, only because they would not show his dad's face. You know what I mean?
yeah, I did not call that either. So, I
No.
mean, I called that after we found out that Mewtwo. Well, okay, all right. Here's my big complaint about the movie, and I was trying to avoid this rant, but now you're pulling me in. Um, so after they revealed that Mewtwo is a literal god, like
Right?
not even just a Pokemon, but can like move souls, which is like a thing that is like so like
When you say it out loud, it sounds so
it
ridiculous.
is, and I thought it was ridiculous when I like when he's like, "Oh, Mewtwo has the power to merge souls with a Pokemon, but the Pokemon has to be wild first." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Well, that's like the dumbest flipping like qualification for that power possible. You're saying that he literally has the power of a god, but he can only do it
When
if
they're
when
insane.
they're lost their shit." And
Yeah.
like, but also the worst part is that like that qualification is totally invalidated later when you realize when you find out that like Pikachu is like the like got merged with the dad
Dad,
because
yeah.
the Pikachu wasn't wild or crazy,
Oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't even make that connection.
right? Like I
That
was just
that
like, well,
they tried
that
to slide that by me and it worked, but it didn't slide by you.
no man. Look, I take these Pokemon seriously. Okay, um, like that's my biggest complaint is that like Mewtwo is an actual god, like
Right.
like
Like
it's
it's
just
just
like they used to be a very powerful psychic Pokemon, and
but like being able to transfer souls is like you said, that's a god move. Like why aren't people worshiping this Pokemon? You know what I mean? Like I
right.
saw the original cartoon where the movie where he came out, you know?
Well, if
And
and if he has power like that, how do you even capture this Pokemon? Because they did that,
oh, you know what? That as well, that makes no sense. You can't.
right?
How do you even get close to that, right?
I
I
mean,
feel you.
I mean, like Mewtwo not only can like read minds at a like, I mean, clearly can read minds at a enormous rate, like a range. I'm sorry, range,
Range. Yeah.
because the Mewtwo like knows when the detective gets in the car outside at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
he's like
that's
they're outside.
yeah, and that's what probably. I mean, that's got to be like 100 yards or more,
Yeah.
right? So that
Easily.
means that Mewtwo knows you're coming from 100 yards or greater, and also can like move with its mind. Basically,
Yeah,
has
and
360-degree
basically can
vision.
predict your movements
Yes, can
like
read your
once you're in that
mind.
range.
Yes, and also, if shit gets real crazy, it'll just make a Pokemon go bomb and zoop. There you go. You're a Pokemon now. Like,
Yeah.
like how
What are you
does
gonna do to me now?
exactly? You know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? There,
Oh man,
like
that's
that's
crazy.
they've set Mewtwo up to this like untouchable level, and that's fine, I guess. But like it defeats large swaths of the movie. Like either no matter which way you slice it, right?
Right. Like
Um,
whether it's if he's that powerful, you shouldn't be able to catch him. If he's catchable, how is he that powerful?
exactly. Um,
Yeah. I understand like so I kind of those things you brought up were fine. Like my thing with the movie was part of it was I went into it being like after the first I don't know 20 minutes of it really after what is her name Newton steps onto the scene. I don't know
her
the
name's
character's
Lucy in the
name.
movie.
Lucy. Once Lucy steps onto the scene, I almost like immediately went from like, oh, this is a strong kids movie because, like I said, she felt like Saturday morning cartoons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she felt like she,
Like what's
like
that
she was
famous
in a
Zach and Cody or something like that? Like they live in the I don't know one of those like Nickelodeon but like
Disney Channel. Like
sitcom kid shows.
yes, yes, very much. That's so Raven ish. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
yes. That but like as soon as that happened, I kind of stopped checking into like expecting a certain level. Like I hate to say it that way, but like when I was like, "Oh, this is a kids movie for children, for kids," then I'm kind of checking out a little bit. I did not mind so I didn't catch those things that you had mentioned. But one of the things I did do was predict that the dad thing, but that was really blatant to me anyway. In the beginning when they would like show him and it was like shadow over his face, and then you go to the next time they do a flashback and his hat's covering his face. I'm like, he's Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is voicing Pikachu. Something happened to now. I'll tell you what I thought.
Okay.
I thought Ryan Reynolds, his dad, got turned into a Pikachu, which is why he could talk to him. Not that he got transferred his soul into a Pikachu. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
So
I also thought so. I didn't pick up on that when they were like intentionally not showing his face. I thought
yeah,
they were intentionally basically trying to like give you the impression of like you don't get to see his face because Justice Smith's character doesn't actually know his own dad, right? Like he doesn't really know what he looks
yeah.
like. I thought that's what they were going for. Here's the other thing I'll say. The other thing that like really upset me about this plot, and like again, like you said, it's a kids movie, but these are the things that I think make it bad for a kids movie because there are kids movies that have like simple but good plots.
Yes.
This is not necessarily a simple plot, but it's also not a good one. It's not terrible, but it's not good.
Right.
The other thing
Right.
that kills me is they're like, "Oh, your Pikachu to save you from your dying body is willing to become your host, and so I will merge your soul into this Pikachu." And
And
then
then
but then he
when he
just
comes
comes
back,
back to
he's
life.
back.
So it's not just
That
his
was another
soul, it's
thing.
his literal body.
That's okay. So I was gonna get into that eventually. Like that was the thing that got me. The biggest blaring hole that I saw was that I was like, I thought the man's body was dying, right? So you healed his body and transferred his soul over, and then just brought him back. Another thing that made no sense. It never explained to me why I almost said Ash, the Justin Justice's character, why he had to come back. Like I remember there was a quote where Mewtwo's like, "Hey, bring the sun, and the sun will, basically fix the wrongs or whatever, right?" And he's talking about like the dad in Pikachu going and getting his son, but he doesn't remember. And it never like explains why it has to be him. Does that make sense?
Well, I think the reason that it has to be him is that clearly Pikachu couldn't talk to anyone else. Because he says the heart will remember when he
Ah,
puts him into Pikachu. He's like, you won't have your memory, but the heart will know, or something, or the heart will remember, something like that. And so like
mm-mm.
Mewtwo knows that like he'll be able to communicate still because they're father and
See,
son.
the crazy part is when I heard that at the time, now that I think about it, when I heard that at the time, I was still under the impression because he breathed in that gas, he could talk to Pikachu.
Well, they do a good job of
Which
like
is what
setting that up so that you don't
setting
just
that up.
predict that out of the gate, right?
Yeah. So
But
like
like
when
I
it comes to
realized,
that point, I thought he was talking about Pikachu being a detective, let alone
ah,
yeah, see what I mean?
yeah, well, I mean, that seems true too, but he can feel it in his jellies. And
Yeah.
I really like that
I'm
too. Um,
gonna start saying that
but
too.
he like the other thing, the thing that made me start to go, okay, what's going on here as far as the Pikachu talking thing is when they like when all the gas gets released in the fighting pit and like
Yeah.
no one else starts talking to their Pokemon,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh okay, there's something weird here because
It's interesting that we were thinking different things at those times because at that time I was thinking about how the fact that he had forgotten how to use his powers. So that's how I had assumed that he was the dad. Because again, the shadow things is like, why aren't they showing us his face? He must clearly Justice is mixed. So I'm thinking, oh, his dad must be a white guy,
mm,
and it has to be Ryan Reynolds. So that's why Pikachu doesn't remember his powers, how to use his powers, because he's a human, not because he got transformed into a human. So when all that's going on, that's what I'm thinking about. I wasn't even thinking about, everybody else is breathing in that gas, which good point there.
so yeah, I mean, I think the thing about this movie is that it is a super fun adventure, and if you like Pokemon at all, it is just like the visual experience of this movie
Yeah.
is really top notch because the CGI and the animation are just Like they
Phenomenal.
spared no expense on that for sure.
They did an
Um,
excellent job, and like you said, there were a few actors in there that did a great job interacting with these basically fake characters, and it shows that they are really invested into this movie. So it was well done in that regard, very well done.
so I think the only thing holding this back is the writing a little bit. Like I think the writing was subpar, and that's the only thing that's subpar about this movie.
I would agree with that. I think there are predictable moments, and again, I'm thinking about like, oh, as a child, maybe this is your first time dealing with this kind of a movie where you don't constantly think like. I'm sure I watched it with my daughter, and she enjoyed most of the movie. She didn't. She's 3, so she didn't have much to say about it, but um, as a even as like a 5-year old or a 6-year old who doesn't watch a lot of movies, maybe the twists and turns weren't predictable. You know what I mean? So for a kid, it would be very enjoyable. You could watch it over and over again.
Yeah, I
Um,
think if anything, I think the plot might be a little too complicated for a certain group of kids, like a
of
certain age
kids,
group.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
There
but
is a lot going on. That brings me to the like. So you think that these movies this is a kickoff, or do you think that this is more of a hey, we've got this story done, and are we going into more Pokemon?
well, it's funny that you should mention that. I've actually got queued up here the earnings, the weekend gross for Detective Pikachu. Um, and so it made $54 million
Yeah,
opening
I mean
weekend.
that's not chump change. I don't know how much it cost to make.
I don't know how much it costs to make either. Uh, I bet I bet it is a lot less than we're both thinking because I bet that like CGI is starting to get cheap enough, and there
Right.
are almost no big name actors in this movie.
Right, like you have Ryan Reynolds.
That's it, right?
Like,
Like
and you're banking on that. So I think like that 54 million as an opening weekend, do you think how long will it stay in the top 5? How many weeks do you think?
I don't know. I mean we this episode we've talked about nostalgia a bit, and I just think that like you know I remember like I'm sure you remember when like Pokemon Go came out and there was like a magical like 6 months where everyone was just
Yeah.
like, this is like
Uh,
the best experience ever. Um,
I have a quick story on that. I had a roommate when that um, game came out, and we would sit and play video games for hours. He just went to class and played video games. I remember him getting out of the house and being like, "I'm going for a walk." What? You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like you're
yeah,
getting up, going for a walk. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go catch some Pokemon," and he would walk for like 5 miles up
yeah,
and down hills. Where I lived was in Moorhead at the time, and it's a really hilly place. And he walked for 5 miles. I'm just like, man, you keep that up. Like I just remember Pokemon Go getting people out in the streets, walking these hills, walking the roads. It was fun. It was crazy. It was just an insane thing.
but like that game literally like almost existed uh like pound for pound as a different game called Ingress before it. No one gave a crap about Ingress, right?
Right.
But as soon as you slap a Pokemon skin on top of it, now it's a worldwide cultural experience. And so
Yes.
I think the nostalgia and the brand there of Pokemon itself is just so incredibly strong. Um
Yeah.
and I think
Especially overseas, where it was originated, like they're gonna eat that up.
oh yeah, like I mean, it is a worldwide, really strong brand, right? It's
Yes.
everywhere. So I think this has some serious staying power. I think it has. I think I think earnings wise, clearly it's done very well, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, it I mean
For its first
it beat
weekend.
out
Yeah.
everything else that weekend by like a landslide.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I would be curious to see how much they spent to make it. I think that'll be the big decider. But I walked out of this one. I went to see it with my dad actually, and I walked out of this one and went, I had like it was an okay movie. I enjoyed it. I would love to see a second one where they don't have to like do as much exposition.
Right.
Like they just kind of get to the movie, and I really just want to see like Justice Smith, Ryan Reynolds, and some Pokemon be like a crime fighting team.
Yeah.
But also, I'm also concerned that like if none of the Pokemon talk,
I was just about to bring that up.
yeah, I
I
think
was just about to be like, okay, so was the magic here Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, or was the magic the humans interacting with these Pokemon? Because outside of the interactions with Pikachu and like, is it Psyduck or Psylocke? Psyduck.
Psyduck.
Yeah. So Psyduck is only hilarious because Pikachu is translating basically what he's saying, right? Like, even if you're only getting one end of that conversation, it's so much funnier with Pikachu translating.
Right.
So if the magic is in speaking Pokemon, they've got to do that again, right? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to get as good of a movie. I don't know if that movie's just as good if Ryan Reynolds is a human and there's just Pokemon walking around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I that's my main concern. I think the reality of this movie is that Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu and Justice Smith carry this movie really hard.
Yes,
And
like they're carrying this movie deep.
yes. And the rest of the movie is a great visual experience, but the only reason worth watching it is those two like interacting the whole time, right? Like
Yeah.
their performances are what make it. And so I don't know. I don't know if you just made like a regular, like like a basic Pokemon movie with the
Like
same
an Ash
animation.
Ketchum
Yeah, like
movie.
basically like an Ash Ketchum type thing. I think I think it wouldn't. I think it wouldn't play very well. I think it wouldn't be worth watching, to be frank.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
so
I agree.
I think a sequel to this could work, but they'd have to work the talking back in again.
Uh, I that's what I was about to say. I think the only way that this sequel works because I feel like they think it's the Pokemon, which it is. A lot of it is Pokemon. A lot of people showed up in the theater because they're like, I get to watch live action Pokemon that you could reach out and touch. It looks like you could reach out and touch them. That was a benefit to me going to go see this movie because I think Detective Pikachu is based off a game. Um, right? No, I'm off. But anyway, it,
I mean,
it,
Let's Go
I,
Pikachu can give your Pikachu a detective hat. So
well, there you go. But like my point is that like the story holds up or the movie's much more watchable because of the interactions between the Pokemon and the main characters. And I think they're going to try to do an Ash Ketchum style, just the humans interacting with Pokemon, but without a what's that cat Pokemon
Meowth,
with Team Rocket?
Meowth.
Meowth, yeah. Without a Meowth or a Detective Pikachu communicating back and forth between our main character, I don't think we're gonna do very well in the box office in the future if they plan to go forward that way.
I would still go see the sequel if it's Justice Smith as the quote unquote Ash Ketchum
Right.
type character. Like if he's
Like
the trainer,
like he decides like I want to go be a trainer.
right?
Let's
Because
go
they
catch
hinted that
Pokemon.
right in the movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's where I thought they would go. If they decided to go forward with this, they would go that route, and then there'd be a little detective thing in there. But I thought he'd be a trainer.
so here's the thing that I thought they would do, and that if they had done, I'd be pre-ordering my tickets for the sequel right now. Is
Oh
I
yeah,
thought when they were like, oh, to save your dying body, we're going to put your soul in the Pikachu, that they wouldn't be able to get him out of the Pikachu because he'd have no body. So he would just
right.
be in the Pikachu,
The
and then
Pikachu.
it would be Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu,
Yes.
and
Okay.
Justice Smith now
That
being
would have
full
been.
blown detectives of the Rhyme City PD. Like that's
Yes.
what I
Yes.
wanted, and I
Now that would be dope.
wouldn't that have been dope?
I would watch that movie now. Like in the sense of happy endings, happily ever afters. Is it happily ever after if your dad's body is gone? Like that's a thing, whatever. But like I agree. Excuse me. If they were to do that, I would definitely go see. There would be no hesitation in me going to go see the sequel to this movie
Right.
because that guarantees that I'll have that same interaction and maybe on those rare occasions that they do, that they get the second movie is stronger and better than the first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they already have built some of that rapport and they can just go without all the lead in and stuff.
So, my God. So, uh, one of the things that you and I like to do after we kind of get to the ends of these reviews is we like to talk about the actors. We've talked about the actors a lot in this one because I think it was very
Yeah,
important to this film. Um,
yeah.
so just kind of going off some of the lead actors, would you watch any of these? Like, would any of these lead actors make another movie for you? So, like, first top billing, Justice Smith. I'm really excited to see what he does next. To be honest, I will go
I
see
am
it.
too. I'm actually, because you told me he was in Jurassic World, I'm going to go back and watch Fallen Kingdom. I'm gonna add it to my list. I'm gonna go back and watch it because I enjoyed what he did. I would watch another movie if he headlined it. I would watch another movie if he was in it, because he did a he did a great job. The scenes where he's acting on his own, between voice acting with Ryan Reynolds and like the Mr. Mime scene and a lot of the other scenes he was in, he did an excellent job. I would definitely go see what he's doing next.
Definitely, definitely. Ryan Reynolds, obviously, I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds
Obviously.
fan. Right, like he's my favorite. Everything he's been in, I have thoroughly enjoyed.
I think Ryan Reynolds is doing this whole like I'm coming back thing. I recently saw Hitman's Bodyguard, which he is in, and
Yes,
I think he did a great job in that, and I think that movie didn't get enough love because I think Ryan Reynolds is really good in that movie. Um
I think that's another movie that he carried.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson who plays the hitman, right?
Yes,
He's
yeah.
okay in that, but
He's
he's like basic
he's
Samuel L. Jackson in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Um,
That's exactly what I was
which
thinking.
is
Ryan Reynolds.
fine.
Yeah.
It's a movie
I
about
mean,
explosions, but
yeah.
Ryan
But
Reynolds
like
makes that movie for me.
for sure. So like I think Ryan Reynolds is on this kick where like he is bankable now. People can put him in a movie and he's almost the Rock of this
Oh
next couple
yeah,
of
that's a good
years. You know how The
comparison.
Rock was getting put in
Yeah,
everything and he was like bringing back all
and he
these
made a bunch of movies too,
dying
like
franchises.
the
Yeah,
Rundown, right? Like
exactly.
the Rundown was only
Yes.
good because of The Rock.
Yes, like he was just in everything and everything, and not that he's not in everything now, but like I think Ryan Reynolds is on that kick where like you could put him in a comedy, you could put him in this um drama. Ryan Reynolds is a bankable character now or actor. I mean,
Yeah. Um, Catherine Newton.
unless I, la- I would if she was the drawing actress, I'm probably not gonna go see that movie.
I
Um,
actually have the opposite opinion. I think that she actually did a really good job. I feel like she was doing what the director told her to do. Like she was playing the character that she was directed and written as. And I think
uh-huh.
she did a really good job of doing that. I think the character was just a bad character. And like I don't know that necessarily reflects on her ability.
Well, I mean that's fair. I mean, if you feel it's the way of the director, I feel um, that character sometimes choices matter, right? So choosing that character, not that she has all the choices in the world, but like choosing that character, kind of like if she was the headline for a different movie, I probably wouldn't catch her. You know what
Well,
I mean? If she's in a different movie, she wouldn't deter me from that movie, but I probably wouldn't catch it if she was the drawing force,
so
even
I
if the
say
direction
this.
in that character.
So here's why I think this is because there are scenes and there are definitely like times in this movie where I felt like Justice Smith did a good job in spite of the direction.
Hmm.
Like I definitely feel like there was conflict there between like what
Yeah.
Justice wanted to do and what the director was trying to make him do because he's like, "Oh, it's a kids movie."
Right.
And
Yeah.
and so
That
I
I think the director leaned into that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
yeah,
but
no,
like
fine.
I think the director definitely leaned into this is a kids movie. I'm going to make these characters kiddish, you know what I mean?
Right, and the reason I think that as well, like beyond like the reason I get that vibe at all is because all of the supporting characters are ridiculously kid movie levels of kid movie,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the only
Hmm.
way that those people do that, like when you don't have top name billing to go against the director, is because you're doing exactly what the director's telling you to do.
Yeah.
And so
That
that's
makes
why I
sense.
think that, because like take for instance the fight pit guy.
Yeah.
He was just
Yeah.
ridiculously over the top bad guy, and it was like painful to watch, and it was like, yeah,
I know it
okay.
was painful, but I laughed so hard at points I don't think I was supposed to be laughing at because it was painful. I was just like, this guy,
Yeah.
what is he doing? I thought the same thing about him that I did about Miss Newton, Catherine Newton. Like, I was just like, what is he doing here? Like, ham it up much, man.
Right. Well, and but it wasn't just him, right? Like
Right.
the evil dad, the
Yeah.
son, like the son's actor, both characters that actor played when he was like the Ditto as himself, and
Yeah.
also the son.
Oh,
Like he was.
sorry. That was a twist I did not see coming. The Ditto. I was like, oh snap!
Oh
What? Sorry.
yeah. No,
I like.
definitely. I actually thought like when we found out that the dad was evil, I thought the son was evil with him.
Right. Me too. Me
So,
too.
but also
But
like
this director, I was looking it up. This director has directed Detective Pikachu, Goosebumps, Monsters vs. Aliens, and Shark Tale, which are
yep,
all kids movies. So that kind of makes sense.
right.
The director leading them in that direction.
Yep. So that's why I'm giving Catherine Newton a pass on this, because with the role and that she was given and the direction that I feel like she was given, I felt like
Right.
she did a really good job executing the
Yeah.
vision of that character,
Of that
and
character,
I just
of
don't think that
based
was
on
her
how it was
fault,
written.
that it
Yeah.
was not a good character. So in the
Well.
same way that like Karan Sony like did a really good job playing Jack, and
Yeah.
some of him shined through, but also Jack was a complete throwaway character, and like so
Completely.
but that's I don't know. I would be. She wouldn't draw me to a movie that I wouldn't go see normally, but I'm definitely not like I don't feel like she did a bad job in this movie.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair. Look, and I say all that with respect to the things that these people do because they're doing things I couldn't do. Um, but I'm, in watching those characters, based on what I saw, it's not something that, like you said, she definitely wouldn't draw me to a movie that I wouldn't go see. Whereas Ryan Reynolds, like we said, or even Justice Smith, like he would actively draw me to a movie that I'm like, I might not have seen that otherwise, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I just I don't think any of these people are going to win awards for any of these roles.
Oh
But
no,
yeah,
no,
that's just
no, we're not talking awards here.
that was not it was not it was just not a strong movie in that way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm trying to give everyone a little bit of a pass, and the fact that Justice and Ryan shined through so strong in spite of that, I think just says a lot.
About
Um,
them as actors. Yeah.
I at this point, I think I've said everything I needed to say about this movie. Have you got anything else you want to wrap up with, Stuart?
I think I've said my piece.
Yeah.
I've shared my views and yeah, I've wrapped up on that.
So I still think it's worth seeing in the theaters just because I think the visual experience on a big screen like that is really what you want to pay for. I think it won't be as good on a TV.
I can understand that, but I still would have just rather had caught it on streaming.
That's fair. That's fair.
Personally,
I would say that
for me.
dollar wise, it's worth that amount of money. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So
Well, this has been episode 1 of Dynamic Reviews. Just to wrap it up here, I'm Matthew Robinson. I'm chasing logic everywhere on the internet.
I'm Stuart Gardner, and you can find me as Stuart Gardner everywhere on the internet.
All right. Have a good one.